Good evening, everyone. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. We are so glad to welcome you. Thank you so much for taking some time out of your very busy schedules to join us for this year's Book Club Review 2025. Now, this year, we are celebrating a very special anniversary. It is Howard County Library System's 85th birthday. So thank you for joining us on our very special anniversary. If you were here last year, welcome back. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. Please use the Q&A feature to add your questions as soon as they pop into your head. You don't have to wait until the very end, although we will save the answering of the Q&A, any of your questions, for the very end. We're going to save some time at the end. We have a fabulous team of instructors and some guest presenters presenting for you this evening. So thank you so much for joining us, and we will begin. I'm going to pass it over to Angie, who is going to read for you HCLS's land acknowledgement.
HCLS Land Acknowledgement. We want to respectfully honor the Susquehanna Confederation who governed, lived, farmed, and hunted on the land now called Howard County. Their nations conceded into land treaties in 1652 and 1661 after English colonizers ended their generational governance and stewardship of the land Howard County is built upon. This practice of land acknowledgement is to honor and respect the indigenous inhabitants, both from the past and the present.
All right, thank you so much, Angie. Now, before we begin our program, I want to talk to you about two upcoming events that you might be interested in. The first is on the left-hand side of your screen, the Essentials of Estate and Special Needs Planning. If you or a loved one would like to be educated about the essentials of both estate and special needs planning to ensure that your family and your loved one's current and future needs are addressed, please join us on Friday, October 24th from 10:30 a.m. to 12 p.m. We will have a special guest presenter, Elville, and Associates Managing Principal Stephen Elville. So again, please join us on Friday, October 24th from 10:30 a.m. to 12 p.m. at the Central Branch. Now, for the second event I would like to talk to you about is a very special author event. You'll see it on the right hand of your screen. Author Works, Dr. Richard Bell, The American Revolution and the Fate of the World. Now, the American Revolution was not only the colony's triumphant liberation from the rule of an overbearing England, it was also a cataclysm that pulled in participants from around the globe and threw the entire world order into chaos. The American Revolution and the Fate of the World conveys the impact of these developments at home and abroad by grounding its narrative in gripping stories of individuals, including women, minorities, and other disenfranchised people. The rest is an unforgettable new perspective on America's founding fight that shifts everything we thought we knew about our creation story. If that sounds interesting to you or a loved one, please join us on Sunday, November 9th from 2 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. at the Miller Branch. Thank you so much. I'm going to pass it on to Angela, who's going to read through our books for discussion list.
Yes, and hello everyone. My name is Angela Best, and I am the Assistant Branch Manager here at the Central Branch. My pronouns are she, her. When our books for discussion list is compiled, we ensure that it includes a variety of genres, authors, themes, characters, and settings. Fiction, nonfiction, and biography books are always included. And this is to ensure that our community book clubs have the support and resources needed to be successful. The books included on the books for discussion list are those available to customers between August last year and August this year. There are at least 6 copies owned by HCLS, and at least 1 copy is at each branch. So please go ahead and place reserve requests on your account, and at the same time, you can request them to be actually activated at a later date when it is convenient for your book club. Tonight's format is as follows. Presentations will be made in 4 rounds, and for the first 3 rounds, we will each present 1 book from the 2026 Books for Discussion list. For the final round, which is the wildcard round, each instructor has made an effort to introduce some titles as surprise considerations for your book clubs. These titles may or may not be on the books for discussion list. At the beginning of each summary, we're going to give the name of the book, the author, and whether it's fiction or nonfiction. This evening, we're also going to promote some HCLS-led book clubs. HCLS has many book clubs that are facilitated by adult instructors. Some of the book clubs are in person, others are online only, while some of them are actually hybrid, and you can decide whether to attend in person or online. Following tonight's session, you'll receive by email a number of documents, and you're also going to receive a copy of this presentation that will come in a few days' time.
Thank you, Angela. All of that sounded so exciting. I was so excited that I forgot to introduce myself. This is my first year attending this event. So welcome to me and welcome to all of you. My name is Stevia Morales. I am the branch manager at the Central Branch of Howard County Library System, and I use she, her pronouns. With all that being said, let's welcome round one.
Yes, round one. My first book is Oathbreakers, The War of Brothers That Shattered an Empire and Made Medieval Europe by Matthew Gabriel, nonfiction. This book takes us to 9th century Europe, where Charlemagne ruled an empire that stretched from northern Spain to the edge of modern-day Hungary, and he ruled from 768 to 814. His son, Louis the Pious, who reigned from 814 to 840, inherited the entire empire. Louis had 4 sons. The Carolingian tradition was to partition the land among his sons. This was the beginning of the end. The book outlines the breakdown of an empire through civil war among Louis's heirs, brother against brother. The nation essentially collapses from within. If your group is interested in European history, betrayal, religion, medieval history, you will find this book interesting. Oathbreakers by Matthew Gabriel.
Hi, my name is Emily. I'm an instructor and research specialist at the Central Branch, and my pronouns are she, her. My first round pick is Wild Dark Shore by Charlotte McConaughey, fiction. A woman mysteriously washes ashore on a remote island located between Australia and Antarctica. Shearwater is home to the world's largest seed bank and was once a bustling research hub. But now the island is home to only 4 residents, its caretaker and his 3 children. Well, I guess now it's 5 if you count the mysterious woman. The family work together to nurse her back to health, but time is quickly running out. Rising sea levels and dangerous weather events have rendered the island uninhabitable, and the family needs to save as many valuable seeds as they can. As they prepare to vacate the island, suspicions arise, because everyone on the island has secrets. But how long will they remain untold? This unputdownable read is looming with dread, and themes of isolation, trust, family, and climate change make it oh so discussable. Book groups looking for a thought-provoking thriller should check out Wild Dark Shore by Charlotte McConaughey. Next, I'd like to tell you about Eclectic Evenings. It's a book discussion group that is near and dear to my heart because I facilitate it. We meet online each month on the second Tuesday from 6:45 to 7:45. We discuss a variety of reads, so fiction to nonfiction, contemporary to classic, and feature a wide range of authors. Since we meet online, you can join in on the discussion from the comfort of your own home or while you're out and about. Our upcoming reads include Anita de Monte Las Las by Xochitl Gonzalez in October and All the Colors of the Dark by Chris Whitaker in December. Hope to see you there.
Hi, I'm Angie, and I'm an instructor and research specialist at Central, and my pronouns are she and her. Ever since I was about 7 or 8, I have loved disco, and I have lost a few friendships through the years over it. Well, maybe not really, but I've had my musical taste questioned. But in this book, imagine grief, glitter, and magic colliding on the shores and dance floors of Fire Island in 1989. In Disco Witches of Fire Island, Blair Fell creates a story that's a dazzling, heartfelt novel about Joe Agabon, a young gay man who has lost his partner to AIDS. Seeking escape, Joe stumbles into a coven of disco witches on Fire Island, and they protect queer souls through dance spells and fierce love. There's a wonderful blend in this story of the cosmic and the comic. One of my favorite scenes is when one of the roommates tells the other one, "Would you stop twirling like Stevie Nicks? You're making me dizzy." And so as sad as this book can be, it also can be very funny. So if you love stories that celebrate resilience, queer joy, and the power of dancing through darkness, this book will enchant you, and it's not just a novel, it's a spell and an enchantment. The Disco Witches of Fire Island by Blair Fell.
Hi, I'm Mary Brosini. I'm the branch manager at the Glenwood branch of the Howard County Library System. My pronouns are she and her. My first pick is The Sirens by Amelia Hart, fiction. This was a Good Morning America book club pick. It's a book that blends together genres, combining historical fiction, magical realism, and mystery, and it will appeal to many book club lovers. It's a book about sisters and about family relationships. There are three storylines that happen in this book, but they're interconnected throughout the book. So the first storyline is 1800s. There's two sisters that are being shipped in a convict ship from Britain to Australia. And then the second storyline is about two sisters. One is named Jess. She's the older sister, and the younger sister's name is Lucy. Lucy has a bad experience at college, and she goes to visit her older sister seeking solace. But her older sister is now missing, and this takes place in 2019. So what happens is she finds a diary of her sister based in 1999 to learn the mystery of where she is. The way that the stories end up supporting each other when they seem so disconnected when at the beginning, it will have your book club discussing. You will learn more about the horrors of a convict ship, how traveling in the 1800s is not how we like to travel today, and what happened to Jess. So the ending of the story will definitely have your book club talking. The Sirens by Amelia Hart.
Hi, everyone. My name is Mickey, and I'm an instructor and research specialist here at the Central Branch. My pronouns are she, her. And my first pick is going to be The Three Lives of Kate K by Kate Fagan, fiction. Imagine being one of the most famous authors of your generation. Your books are bestsellers, even made into blockbuster movies, but no one knows who you really are. That's Kate K. Behind the name is a woman who spent years running from her past, reinventing herself after a tragedy that changed everything. As a teen, she dreamed of escaping her small town life with her best friend, chasing their Hollywood dreams. Instead, she built a new identity, creating stories that captivated millions, all while hiding the truth about herself. Now, a revelation brings her back home. Facing old friendships, secrets, and the life she left behind, you follow Kate as she tries to reconcile her past and present and discover what it truly means to claim her own story. The Three Lives of Kate K by Kate Fagan. And now I want to talk to you about the Nonfiction Book Club. If you love exploring real stories, the Nonfiction Book Club is the perfect place for you. This book club explores a variety of nonfiction selections, giving everyone a chance to share their thoughts and insights on the book being discussed. Meetings are held both in person at the Savage Branch and online on the third Wednesday of the month at 6:30 p.m. The next meeting is on November 19th, where they will be discussing We Survived the End of the World, Lessons from Native America on the Apocalypse and Hope by Stephen Charleston.
Hi, I'm Roslyn, and I'm an instructor and research specialist here at the Central Branch. My first pick is The Names by Florence Knapp. Imagine one choice that reshapes 3 lives. In 1987, during a fierce storm, Cora must name her newborn son. Should she go with the gentle Bear, her daughter's pick, the hopeful Julian, her own favorite, or the traditional and complicated Gordon, after the child's cruel father? That one decision splits into 3 parallel lives, each unfolding over 35 years. This novel explores how something as simple as a name can quietly shape identity, family, and destiny. It's smart, tender, and full of heart, and I found myself delaying the end just to keep the characters alive. If you're drawn to sliding doors style stories about fate, courage, and the power of everyday choices, this one will stay with you and spark great conversation. The Names by Florence Knapp. All right, that was a very full round 1. Now we will move to round 2.
Thank you, Stevia. And my second book is The Manor of Dreams by Christina Lee, fiction. Vivian Vinh, a Chinese-American actress, dies. And instead of leaving the sprawling estate to her 2 daughters and granddaughter, she leaves it to the daughter of her previous housekeeper. Although Vivian and her daughters were not close, and they knew this, they planned to contest the will. From the moment you start the book, you realize there's something more going on in this decrepit old house. And as you continue, the story unfolds like an onion with many, many layers. It is one of those books that once you start, you don't want to put it down. Both parties stay in the house, and strange events occur, both in the house and, as can be seen on the cover, in the garden. The book goes between the current ongoing events, where the daughters are convinced that the housekeeper's daughter murdered their mother, and it also, on the other hand, chronicles Vivian's life from her birth in China to current day events. Themes of the American dream, belonging, ambition, family ties, cultural identity, and family history are within this family Gothic thriller. The Manor of Dreams by Christina Lee. So my first book club promotion is actually for required reading, Text for Change. It is the new quarterly book club of our Equity Resource Center and Collection. The book club invites everyone to engage with powerful texts, namely books that challenge assumptions, introduce new frameworks, and offer fresh ways of thinking about equity in our work and in our community. It is an invitation to all who are curious, committed, and ready to keep growing, and the group meets online quarterly at 7 p.m. Upcoming titles in November: Seek, How Curiosity Can Transform Your Life and Change the World. And in February, The Power of Bridging, How to Build a World Where We All Belong.
My second round pick is Bat Eater and Other Names for Cora Zhang by Kylie Lee Baker, fiction. New York City, summer of 2020. COVID is raging, and so is Asian hate. Cora Zhang unfortunately knows this firsthand. Just a few months after witnessing the racism-fueled murder of her sister, she takes a job working as a crime scene cleaner. Perhaps not the best career choice for someone mourning a deep loss, but hey, she needed to pay the bills somehow. Cora and her co-workers can't help but notice that most of their crime scene victims are Asian women, so they begin to suspect a serial killer. With the police reluctant to acknowledge the pattern, the trio decide to take matters into their own hands. Kylie Lee Baker effortlessly blends real-life horror with Chinese folklore, resulting in a visceral portrayal of racial bias in the early days of the pandemic. A thoughtful rumination on grief, heritage, and mental illness wrapped in an angsty and gruesome package. Bat Eater and Other Names for Corazang by Kylie Lee Baker.
My Documents by Kevin Gwynn. I really, really liked this book, but there were times when I thought I would have to stop reading it because it just was so intense and so real, especially given everything going on in the world. Kevin Gwynn delivers a chilling and deeply personal vision of a near future America where Vietnamese Americans are rounded up and have to live in internment camps. It has echoes of real life when Japanese Americans were interned during World War II. And it also speaks to the refugee experience. Despite the sadness and the fear that you actually experience when you read the book, the writing is very compelling, and you grow very close to four characters named Ursula, Alvin, Jen, and Duncan, who are all cousins. This is not just dystopia fiction. It's a mirror held up to our history and to now, and the world injustices, and reimagines them in a way that feels heartbreakingly plausible. The writing is sharp, intimate, and deeply affecting. And it is a novel about what we carry and what we lose and what keeps us alive. My Documents by Kevin Gwynn.
All right, my second book club pick is The Boxcar Librarian by Brianna Labuscas. This is a book that was inspired by the true story of a converted boxcar that brought books to isolated mining communities in Montana in the early 20th century. It's a story about three women. The first one takes place in the 1910s. It's a story of Colette and how she learns about the mining industry, what she learns about the mining industry since her father is involved in mining, and the union building aspects that she learns from her father. In the 1920s, the story focuses on Alice, who's building a library to help bring books to people's lives living in small remote areas. And in the 1930s, it focuses on Millie, who works for the WPA, which is the Works Progress Administration, and how she's sent to Montana to make sure that the American Guide series for Montana is finally completed. Your book club will learn about the mining communities in Montana in the early 1900s, how and why unions came to be, and the horrible ways big companies tried to suppress unions, how the American Guide series worked, and how much joy a good book can bring. All the stories will intertwine, and you too will feel the joy of bringing books to remote spots and the need for a good book. There are literary quotes throughout the book, and see if your book club members can actually guess the quote before the author lets you know. If your book club enjoyed Bookwoman of Troublesome Creek, this book will open your eyes to even more. The Boxcar Librarian by Brianna Labuscas. Speaking of which, I am promoting the Reading Cafe held at the Glenwood branch in Studio A, and it's held on the last Tuesday of every month. They met this morning or this afternoon, and they discussed the Boxcar Librarian. So they have some upcoming classes, upcoming books that they're discussing. In October, their book is Where They Last Saw Her by Marcy Rendon. And in November, it's Piglet by Lottie Hazel. I will let you know that this book club is in person at the Glenwood branch at 1 p.m. the last Tuesdays, and they do focus on different genres throughout the year. So sometimes they will pick fiction, sometimes they pick different genres in fiction, and they also do pick nonfiction. So it's a chance to sample things that you may not have tried before. Again, the Reading Cafe last Tuesday of the month at the Glenwood branch at 1 p.m.
My next pick is The Lotus Shoes by Jane Yang. Fiction. In 1800s China, Little Flower is sold as a maidservant to Lin Jing, the daughter of the wealthy Fong family. However, she has a rare advantage, an extraordinary talent for embroidery. Her skill could change her life, but Lin Jing resents her and works her to keep her in her place. When a scandal shakes the Fong household, both are sent to a nunnery. There, the women lived under strict rules, but can work in a silk spinning factory and earn their own way. Little Flower's artistry draws attention that could shape her future, while Lin Jing's ambition and envy continue to influence their intertwined fates. Their story is full of tension, rivalry, and surprising moments of connection, a tale of skill, perseverance, and the hard-won steps toward independence that will keep you wondering what they will do next. The Lotus Shoes by Jane Yang.
A Marriage at Sea, a true story of love, obsession, and shipwreck by Sophie Elmhurst, nonfiction. When British couple Morris and Marilyn Bailey set off in search of adventure, they never expected a whale to strike their boat, leaving them stranded on a tiny raft in the Pacific for 117 days. What follows is more than a survival story. It's raw, unforgettable, and explores what it means to truly rely on someone when everything else is stripped away. And the ocean isn't just a backdrop here. It becomes a force of its own, shaping every moment. And as the days stretch on, their bodies and minds are tested, and their relationship is pushed to the edge. What makes this book so powerful and perfect for discussion is the deeper question it asks. How far can love and hope carry us when nature, time, and even our own minds begin to give way? And once you've read this book, you'll find yourself researching more on this couple and their lives long after their 1973 shipwreck. A Marriage at Sea by Sophie Elmhurst. Calling all music lovers and bookworms, join us for Musical Mondays, a unique book club where music meets the page. On the second Monday of each month at our Miller branch, we dive into books that explore the powerful intersection of music, art, culture, and creativity through both fiction and nonfiction. Whether you're a classical connoisseur or a pop enthusiast, you'll love discussing stories that sing and ideas that resonate. And coming up on October 13th, we'll be discussing The Violin Conspiracy by Brendan Slocum, and on November 10th, The Anatomy of a Song by Mark Myers. No music degree is required, just curiosity and a love for great conversation. See you there. All right, I'm sure everyone has a list full of books that they want to put on hold now for riveting round 3.
Round 3, Death of the Author by Nnedi Okorafor, fiction. The book is quite fascinating. It is a book within a book with 2 parallel stories. Each book is written in a different genre, literary fiction and science fiction, but it's very, very well done. And you can tell which book is being read because the fonts change. There is a story of the protagonist, Zelu, a Nigerian American who lectures in creative writing at a university and is a paraplegic. She's a very compelling character, and you go through her highs and lows with her. And then parallel to this is the novel that she writes about, robots, rusted robots. The book about robots imagines a future where androids and artificial intelligence war where humans once existed. During the novel, Zelu experiences unemployment, uncertainty, and then fame, massive fame. The final chapters of the book has lots of twists, but the final chapter is a must, totally and absolutely unexpected. It is a science fiction book, and it's not my usual go-to, but I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I highly recommend it if your book club is looking for something different. Addressed in the book, issues of ableism, societal pressures, family relationships, the immigrant experience, childhood dreams, and social media. Death of the Author by Nnedi Okorafor. So for my second HCLS book club promotion, I'm promoting the book club Excellent Reads. This book club is held at the Elkridge branch, and you can join them on second Tuesdays from 12:30 p.m. At the upcoming session in October, they'll be discussing Queens of Crime by Marie Benedict. Check out the HCLS website for future titles being discussed at Excellent Reads and join them there.
My third round pick is The Girls Who Grew Big by Layla Motley, fiction. In Padua Beach, a small coastal town in the Florida Panhandle, a group of friends known as the Girls ride around together in an old red pickup truck. Through thick and thin, they support each other because they're all teen mothers and no one understands them like they do. Simone, a mother of twins, yearns to give her children the world despite unstable living situations. Emery is a student at the top of her class with Ivy League ambitions, but worries her infant might interfere with her academic pursuits. Swim star Adela is new to Florida, sent there to live with her grandmother through pregnancy. She's still unsure whether she will put up her baby for adoption or keep it. Layla Motley breathes such life into these characters they feel fully realized, and you will become so invested in their lives. A tender-hearted and character-driven novel about motherhood, sisterhood, friendship, and impossible choices. I highly recommend The Girls Who Grew Big by Layla Motley.
The Dream Hotel by Layla Lalami. I have been fascinated by dreams since I was a kid and had very vivid dreams, which I still do today. So I was drawn to the book because of that title, even though it turned out to be nothing like I thought it would be. When the book opens, Sarah Hussein is coming back from a business trip or conference. She's a museum archivist, and she's been to a place where she's meeting other people who are in her field. When she's flagged at the airport, you start to feel a little bit of tension, but you're not sure. And then as she's prolonged by different agents at the airport, she finds out her risk score is very high, which means a combination of her dreams, her lifestyle, and her social connections have made her a candidate for the hotel where she will be with other people who are considered high risk for us. The frustrating parts include when she finds out that her social connection problem is her cousin, who, as she tells the airport, she hasn't seen since she was a kid. It's just so scary to think that you could be flagged because of someone you haven't even seen, who you have nothing to do with. And then, but the weirdest and scariest part is the dream part, where just what you dream can put you in trouble for being high risk. With echoes of Minority Report and a lot of speculative fiction behind it, but mostly also a very real vibe of scary reality. The Dream Hotel by Layla Alami gives you both hope and despair and is well worth the read. Next up is the Nonfiction Addiction Book Club, which I don't think you could come up with a better title if you're a book lover, because sometimes when you love to read, it just feels like an addiction. You just want your next book, and you're always disappointed that you might not find your next book, but you do. And so this is for curious minds who want to explore the world of nonfiction and join the conversation every Thursday at 6:30 p.m., both at East Columbia branch and online. Upcoming on October 16th is the Undocumented Americans, and on November 20th, this Sun.
All right, my third book club pick is Juliana, A Story of Family, Land, and Legacy in Old Hawaii by Sarah Kahalani Gu, nonfiction. So this is a great book for a book club. It's a story about a reporter exploring her family, ancestry, colonialism, and the fight to preserve Native Hawaiian culture and land. The word kuleana is a Hawaiian term for responsibility, but it means so much more. The book starts when Sarah's father receives a letter stating that the property tax for their native land in Hawaii is being raised over 500% for the next year. Her father pays the taxes for this ancestral land that they kept in the family. Sarah explores the fact that since real estate in Hawaii is so outrageous, Native Hawaiians are being priced out of their ancestral homes, and how many of the population are now unhomed and unable to actually live in Hawaii. Sarah has never lived in Hawaii. The family moved to Southern California Imagine that. And now she lives on the East Coast, but she has visited and stayed with family on the islands. She's now struggling with the fact that while Hawaiian, is she Hawaiian enough? Should they fight to keep this ancestral land or sell it? Is she Hawaiian enough to still claim the land granted to them about 2,000 years, or excuse me, 200 years ago by royalty? As a reporter for the Washington Post and NPR, Sarah has a compelling way of telling her story, immersing you in her journey about her claim for Hawaiian heritage. There's even a 6-minute NPR interview, if you're interested and your book club would enjoy, where where Michelle Martin interviews Sarah, and so you can hear what she has to say. Kuleani, A Story of Family, Land, Legacy in Old Hawaii by Sarah Kahalani Gu.
Okay, my next pick is Isola by Allegra Goodman. Fiction. Heir to her family's fortune, Marguerite is set for a life of wealth, comfort, and social standing. Everything seems within her reach. But as her world collapses, when her volatile guardian squanders her inheritance and drags her to New France, pardon me, but when her world collapses, when a volatile guardian squanders her inheritance and drags her to New France, when a forbidden love is discovered, Marguerite is cast out, abandoned on a frozen, uninhabited island with only her maid and the man she loves. With everything she once had torn away, she must summon an unshakable will to survive. As days grow colder and hope fades, Marguerite must decide what kind of woman she will become and how far she'll go to stay alive. Inspired by a real 16th century woman, Marguerite must find courage and resourcefulness to survive. Perfect for fans of historical fiction, survival stories, and forgotten heroes, this book is a gripping, thought-provoking novel that will captivate readers and spark discussion. Isola by Allegra Goodman.
Harlem Rhapsody by Victoria Christopher Murray. Fiction. At the center of the story is Maggie, brilliant, ambitious, and unafraid to make her mark in a world that wasn't built for her. Her affair with W.E.B. Du Bois adds scandal and complexity, but it's through her work at the Crisis, the NAACP's powerful magazine, that we can see her real influence. Maggie isn't just witnessing the Harlem Renaissance, she is shaping it. The story is rich with desire, betrayal, and resilience, set against a backdrop of jazz, art, and the fight for Black voices to be heard. What makes this novel so compelling and perfect for discussion is how it blends real history with unforgettable fiction, raising questions about power, love, ambition, and the sacrifices women make to chase both. It's a vivid, emotional dive into Harlem's golden age and a story that lingers long after the final page. Harlem Rhapsody by Victoria Christopher Murray. All right, we had 3 great rounds. Remember, all of those rounds, round 1, 2, and 3, featured books that are on our books for discussion list. Now we're moving into the wild card round, which is a very special round where each instructor is choosing books that could or could not be on the books for discussion list this year. So enjoy. On to the wild card.
So starting us off, my wild card is not on the Books for Discussion 2026 list. My Vietnam, Your Vietnam. A Father Flees, or Daughter Returns by Christina Vo, nonfiction. This is an intergenerational memoir by a father and his daughter, in spite of the fact that theirs is not a close relationship. The father was born in Vietnam and fled at the end of the war. And he outlines his transition from refugee to a retired physician in the US. Actually, his name may be well known because he's actually written a number of books. His daughter was born in the US and outlines her life in the US, and then her venture to Vietnam, where she lives for a number of years, first working for the UNDP, the United Nations Development Program. Interestingly, though her parents spoke Vietnamese to each other at home, they never taught Christina or her sister how to speak the language. Their varying perspectives and experiences are outlined, quite at odds. Themes of immigration, family, trauma, generational differences, and insights into Vietnamese culture are all raised in this book, My Vietnam, Your Vietnam, by Christina Pho.
My wild card pick is Solito, a memoir by Javier Zamora, nonfiction. 9-year-old Javier lives with his grandparents in a small fishing village in El Salvador, anxiously awaiting the trip he will take to join his parents in La USA, the land of Hollywood, snow, and safety. He doesn't yet know how harrowing the 3,000-mile journey through Guatemala, Mexico, and the Sonoran Desert will be. In fact, at 9 years old, his only frame of reference for deserts is Aladdin, so he pictures expansive sandy dunes rather than rugged terrain filled with cacti and barbed wire. For nearly 20 years, Javier Zamora wore his trauma from the journey like a backpack. It weighed him down until he finally felt safe enough to revisit that time in his life and tell his story. This timely memoir is as touching as it is sad, but there is so much hope. Zamora's beautiful prose highlights the often overlooked heart and humanity of immigrants in pursuit of the American dream. It's one of the most impactful books I've ever read. Solito by Javier Zamora.
My wild card isn't on the list either, but I really enjoyed it. The Weight of Blood by Tiffany D. Jackson. I talked to a lot of Generation X, and many of us will tell you that we read Stephen King way too young. I read Carrie when I was 10, and it was the first time I probably ever found myself rooting for a character that many people would consider a villain. But with Tiffany G. Jackson's The Weight of Blood, while it's a haunting reimagining of Carrie, it's also a modern and deeply necessary one. It takes place in a small Georgia town, and it follows Maddie Washington, a biracial teen who has been raised by her abusive father to hide who she truly is. One day, a very strong rainstorm reveals her natural hair, and Maddie becomes the target of relentless bullying, exposing the town's long-standing racism and hypocrisy. As the school prepares for its very first integrated prom, tensions rise, and so does Maddie's telekinetic power. What unfolds is a story that is both riveting and heartbreaking. It's a story of trauma, identity, and the explosive consequences of silence. Dare I say that this is even better than Carrie's, the original Carrie. I was drawn by the cover and the fact that it's a reimagining of Carrie, but I stayed for it because it's a social commentary on race and the legacy of segregation, as well as just being a perfect read for teens and adults alike, and that can spark conversation that is both urgent and discussable. It is a novel that lingers and challenges and refuses to be ignored. The Weight of Blood by Tiffany D. Jackson.
Okay, my final book club pick is Kill Your Darlings by Peter Swanson, fiction. This actually is on the list. And this is a great book pick for your book club because whether you love it or hate it, you have lots to discuss. The author takes the story and tells it in reverse. The story starts with the failing and flailing relationship between Wendy and Tom, married for over 20 plus years, and they've met in middle school. Wendy feels nothing but contempt for Tom, but they stay together since they share a terrible secret. After a shocking murder, or Willie, not so shocking murder, the story then starts to go in reverse. So you see why certain things have to happen the way they happen. Each chapter takes you further back until the final chapter is their middle school years when they are on a bus trip to Washington, D.C. While the characters are unreliable and unlikable, your book club will want to know what the terrible secret is that they share and how it leads to all this tragedy. Whether you love the book or hate it, you'll have plenty to discuss. Kill Your Darlings by Peter Swanson.
My wild card pick is Poet Square, a memoir in 30 cats by Courtney Gustafson. And this title is on the list. Nonfiction. Mushroom risotto, sad boy, Lola, bubbles. These may seem like random words, but they are actually the names of some of the 30 cats in this memoir. When Courtney moves into a new house in Tucson, she doesn't just find a home, she discovers a calling. Feeding a few strays soon grows into caring for an entire colony, each cat with its own quirks, challenges, and lessons. More than a story about cats, this story is about how 30 creatures transformed one woman's life and how their paw prints remain forever on her heart. And if you want to see photos of the cats that she writes about, be sure to check out Poet Square Cats on social media. Poet Square, a memoir in 30 cats by Courtney Gustafson.
And for our final book of the night, my pick is The Wedding People by Allison Espak, fiction. Phoebe arrives at a quiet seaside hotel with a heartbreaking plan to end her life. But instead of the solitude she seeks, she's mistaken for a wedding guest and swept into the joyful, chaotic orbit of a celebration that is not hers. What unfolds is a moving, often unexpectedly funny journey of rediscovery, where grief softens in the presence of kindness and strangers become lifelines. Espak writes with deep empathy and sharp insight, turning a story rooted in sorrow into one of healing, hope, and the quiet miracle of human connection. If you're drawn to character-driven novels that explore the darkest edges of despair, but guides you gently towards light, this one is one to hold close. The Wedding People by Allison Espak. All right, now is the time to add all the questions you've been saving up using the Q&A feature. So take a couple of minutes, think about maybe some books that you saw, some book clubs or events that you saw promoted, or other library resources that you'd like to ask questions about. Now is your chance. We had one question in the chat that came up very early on, and it will give me a really great opportunity to talk about why this event tonight is so unique. So you heard from a lot of librarians, and we talk about what we love the most, which is books. And many of our librarians facilitate book clubs or facilitate different events across the system where they may talk about their favorite book or multiple of their favorite books. The reason why this event this evening is so unique is because we have a team of instructors from all of our branches producing or facilitating the discussion, putting together the slides. It's truly a system-wide effort. And we talk about the thing that we love the most, our most loved books, most discussable books, and things that we would love for you to place holds on for your own reading or for one of your book clubs. All right, I'm seeing some additional questions in the chat. Lisa asks if there's a comprehensive list of all the book clubs. There is. And there is a way that you can search by the type, date, etc. So if you go onto our website, hclibrary.org, you click up at the top, classes and events, that will bring you to our online classes and events calendar. That shows everything that's going on everywhere at HCLS, and you can limit that by book clubs. But if you stop into any of our branches, you can grab a copy of every updated book club that takes place in our branches and out in the community. After this event this evening, we will also send you a list, so you will have both. There's another question in the chat. This person is really expressing some excitement about attending a book club in person in the daytime. Is there one at the Miller Library? I can't remember which instructor talked about a Miller book club. But if that person was you and you were in this meeting, can you remind us what book club is taking place that we promoted this evening?
I'm not sure if there's one at Miller during the day, but I know that here at Central we do have one. It's called Noon. It wasn't promoted this evening, but we do have Noontime, the Noontime Book Club, which is at Central. And the one that I promoted is the book club at Elkridge. And that book club, if my memory serves me correctly, is one that's at noon as well. And you would have, if you were to look at the book list, we will then be able to see if there are any others. I'm sure there are others throughout the branch, but they're not many at that time of the day.
Yeah. Yeah, we will be sure to get everyone who attended this evening and who registered for this event a copy of the full and updated list of all book clubs happening in person, online, or off-site by an HCLS instructor. So we will get that to you and you can take a look and find the best fit for you. I see another question in the chat. Does the library purchase extra copies of book club books so that they're more readily available? Yes. So we anticipate a lot of buzz and excitement around specific books. Have they been well reviewed? Are they on Reese Witherspoon's book club list? And yes, the library does purchase additional copies. So we have more available at our branches, but definitely check out, if you have not already, Libby, where you can access e-content. So you could possibly get yourself on a list for an e-book or an e-audiobook version of a physical copy of one of the books that we mentioned today. Another great question in the chat. There will be a link to the recording so you can see it. So you will have a recording of this and you will have a copy of the slides in this presentation right after this. So we will send that all out. Everyone who's registered for this event, we will send it via email.
Stevie, it looks like someone did answer the question too. Kathy stated there is light but not fluffy at Miller, and that is done during the daytime. And Goodreads at East Columbia is also in the afternoon. And of course, the Glenwood branch, the Reading Cafe, is at 1 p.m. last Tuesdays of every month.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Ooh, lots of great questions. Lisa also asked, how many books have facilitators read this year? She's curious on how she stacks up. I have a very long list of TBRs on my physical TBR and not many that I've actually read. So does anyone know? Does anyone remember how many physical books they've read this year? They want to throw it out there.
I can't tell you how many I've read. However, I will say that I'm a big fan of audiobooks and e-audiobooks. So I would highly recommend that. It helps with stress levels when you're driving.
That's a good point. That's a good point. I am too a very big fan of audiobooks. If you come to the Central Branch, I can tell you who's a good narrator and who's a bad narrator. Great. Another great question in the chat. How can you find out the number of books available to borrow? This person is thinking of suggesting books, but need to know the number of available copies. That is a great question, especially if you're using it for a book club. You want to know how many. So you can always go to our website, hclibrary.org, search up the title of the book, and you will see all the number of copies that the library owns and how many are currently available. You can also see where you would be on the list if you wanted to place yourself on hold. All right. Another great question in the chat. How scary is the Tiffany Jackson book? Who promoted the Tiffany Jackson book and would like to speak on how scary it is?
Angie did it, but Angie, you're muted. We can't hear you.
I wouldn't say it's so much scary as it could be triggering. So I should have mentioned that in my talk, that it could be triggering for anyone who's been bullied or but it's more intense than scary. There's not the ending, which I don't want to ruin, has a lot of intensity to it, but it's not on the level of a scary like a Stephen King book would be. It's just that it's like a reimagining of Carrie, but with more modern considerations and themes.
Yes. So I know we're coming on to the end and we may have one or two more questions. Do we have a few more questions there, Stevia?
Yes, Angela, I want to go back to a question. Someone asked, I see you've called in dead. Was that mentioned by John Kenny? I don't believe it was mentioned. Maybe on a previous list?
I think it's still on the list, but I don't think we talked about it this evening.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, nobody picked it up, but it's on the list, so we chose it. We thought it was good. I see another somebody agreeing. E-audiobooks are great stress relievers. Love to see more copies available with shorter wait times. Yes, I totally understand. I empathize. Sometimes I sit on those and I am pleasantly surprised when they become available and ready. So I will pass that on to our adult fiction selectors.
So I just wanted, I know that Stevia had mentioned that we're going to get, at the end of this evening, we're going to send out tonight's presentation. So that is coming, but it's not coming immediately. It's going to take, let's say, like 5 to 10 days to get ready. So that will be coming in 5 to 10 days, our actual slideshow. But there are a few other items that will be coming out tomorrow. I know Stevia has a list there of the ones.
Yes, and
The
it's
ones that are
probably
coming out tomorrow.
Yeah, it's probably the perfect time for me to mention that. So we talked about it. I've sprinkled it in throughout this presentation. So you will receive. So if you've registered for this event, you're here now. We're going to send out via email. We're going to send you 5 things. The first is the 2026 book for discussion list. I know we're in 2025. Why 2026? We're so close to the end of the year. We want this list to carry you through the next year. We're also going to send you our very specially prepared book club resource guide and the most recent listing of all HCLS book discussion groups taking place in person, online, or offsite. We're also going to send you a list of the upcoming HCLS events and book clubs that we presented for you here tonight. And next after that, we will send you a copy of this evening's slideshow presentation. So you have all of that and more. We want to see you in our branches. We definitely want to hear you calling in, sending us emails via Ask HCLS. If you have questions about anything we've covered here this evening, or if after you've logged out of this event, you're eating your dinner and you're thinking, man, I really should have asked that question, please give us a call, stop into our branches, or send us an email. We are librarians, so we can either get you, we either know the answer or we can get you to the answer. Thank you everyone so much for coming this evening. Please feel free to ask us any last minute questions. We have about 2 minutes left, but if there's nothing else.
I do see one question there, Stevia.
Okay. Oh, right at the bottom.
Yes.
How many people are typically in an HLS book club? So typically facilitators, the person who is leading the discussion is just one instructor. But some book clubs can vary as small as 5 to 6 members up to 20 members. So some of them get quite large. Yeah. You can always, if you're looking for a very specific type of book club fit, if you want a book club that's a little smaller or one that's a little larger, please feel free to call the branch where that book club is being held. You can speak to the instructor who is facilitating that book club, and they can let you know all about the kind of crowd that you can expect. Right. Thank you everyone so much for attending. We really appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedules to meet with us here virtually. Again, we really love to see you in the branches, but if you can't come in, please call, send us an email, send a carrier pigeon, and get these books on your list. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a good night. Bye-bye.